Hi, welcome to AU440 Streaming Media. Uh, Today we're going to be talking about Flash video encoding. And Flash is pretty much the preferred method for streaming on the web. It's, as you're going to see in a few minutes, it's the most popular format for streaming on the web. And some of our goals for today are understanding the Flash video format, or the FLV format. Another extension for is at .f4v. Both of them are pretty much the same format, but a couple of different extensions, like many other file types. We're going to talk about how to convert to FLV using the Flash Video Exporter, now known as Adobe Media Encoder, and how you can use Flash Video effectively to stream your files on the web. First, what is Flash? Well, you have to understand it's a term used to describe both the authoring tool software and the media player, the Flash player that displays the published output of the SWF files. When someone says Flash, they could be meaning the Flash player itself, or the files that the Flash program plays, which are .swf files. And these files are basically, they can have interactivity, they can have different stuff. It's basically, it started out as an animation format, slowly became a true interactive multimedia format. The reason why Flash became so popular in the first place, even before the FLV video component of it, is that Flash was optimized for delivery over the internet, specifically over the HTTP protocol. So, and the player was free. So, some of the advantages of it, it was extremely small in terms of file size. So you could see content come up very quickly as compared to other multimedia formats. It's cross-platform and cross-browser compatible. You can either have content that's embedded on a page or streamed in. And it has its own programming language called ActionScript, which is an extremely flexible language to create interactivity. So it's primarily started as an interactive program, but the reason it was ideally suited for streaming was its real size and the fact that you could do it over. You didn't need any kind of special media server like you do in some of the other programs or the other formats. It does it directly over HTTP, so all you need is your regular web server. Now, the Flash authoring tool is the program Flash, and it's basically enables the development of rich internet applications like audio, video, vector and bitmap graphics, photos, and other media. And it allows you to create animations, games, user interfaces such as interactive navigation bars for websites, or even entire websites using Flash. Hypertext links to content, and of course, audio and video jukeboxes or audio and video players that play back audio and video. You can also do flexible messaging, chat rooms. There's all sorts of things that are available to be built with Flash, databases, interfaces, all sorts of stuff for the Flash authoring tool. Now, the Flash player is installed on approximately 97.3% of the world's internet-enabled computers. Content can also be played back on mobile devices such as mobile phones and PDAs, although not all Flash files will be played back on all of these devices, especially iPods and iPhones that don't support the Flash player, and we're going to talk about that a little later. Finally, you have the Flash video component of the Flash technology platform. And the Flash video market, as you can see from this, and this is a sort of an older source. This is from 2005. And you can see the percentage of internet-enabled computers. 97.7% have the Adobe Flash player. It used to be known as a Macromedia Flash player. And so chances are that if it's connected to the internet, computer probably has the Flash player. Flash is the most installed player in the world. Okay, more than QuickTime, more than Windows Media. So that's why it's become sort of the premier playback method for streaming files. So let's talk about the Flash video format for a second, the FLV format. So we talked about the authoring tool, which is how you create the SWF movies and websites and games and animations and things back those particular files. But you also have the Flash video format. The Flash video format uses the Onto video codec, and now since Flash 8 and above, it's actually using the H.264 or MPEG-4 codec. So either one, and Onto is Flash 7, Flash Video 7 and below. And if you remember, when we talked about codecs, codec is an encoding decoding scheme by which a video is compressed. It's used encoding. You can either or the Adobe Media Encoder, which we're going to talk about in a second. If you encode in Flash 8, for example, and your user has Flash 7, the Flash 8 video file will not be able to be played. It's not backwards compatible. So the Flash 8 video file will not be able to be played back on Flash 7 because they're using different codecs. Flash 7 uses Onto, the newest version of Flash, every time it comes out, which can be a hindrance. Flash Player 7 still supports Sorensen, however, although the newer ones, Flash 8 and above, don't. And I think we're on Flash 9 right now. The audio encoded is usually through MP3 or AAC. The video cannot be trans-encoded from FLV, meaning, this is a very important point, once you encode something from the trans-encoded from that. So once you get into the FLV format, that's an end format. You can't go to something else from FLV. It's basically compressed to the point where you not only can't do it, it wouldn't make any sense to do it. You can also do metadata in FLV, which are key points. It supports 8-bit alpha channel encoding as well. We'll talk about alpha channels later. And you can stream using true streaming, although it's DP. If you do want to use media server, larger format streams and multiple streams a lot better than HTTP will. So FLV, one of the great parts about it, some of the highlights, there's encoding profiles for all Flash video versions. It's a high-quality video compressor, so the video quality of Flash video looks very, very good if it's compressed right. Now, a lot of videos on YouTube and things like that don't look right, and we'll talk about why. And we mentioned some reasons why, but we'll talk more about that later. You can code an alpha channel, which is a transparency. You can do batch encoding, meaning if you have multiple files, you can encode them all at once. You can embed cue points, so if someone wants to fast forward, it can fast forward to certain points. It has good quality for low bandwidth, so if someone doesn't have the fastest connection, they'll still be able to see a good video quality. It has a standalone video encoder using the Adobe Media Encoder. And it's easy integration with all sorts of programs, especially Flash video components. You can create your own skins, which are players, Flash video players, the playback system. You can customize and embed on your page and make it look really nice and customize it to fit your page. So a lot of flexibility and a lot of power with Flash video. Now, you create, you encode your video using, so you have to have the video first. It has to be in uncompressed format, if you can get it uncompressed format. What you do is you use the Adobe Media Encoder. It used to be called the Flash CS3 Video Encoder. Now it's known as the Adobe Media Encoder. You take that standalone video, and you use this encoding application. You encode that video in FLV format, Flash video format. It's really easy to use, very simple. However, if you don't want to use that, there are third-party encoders, and these are a little bit older. The Onto Flix, again, this is for, it's on version 8, but it's for Flash 7 and above, although they may have created a new version. Sorensen Squeeze and Digital Rabbits are just Digital Rapids are just other third-party encoders. But the easiest way to do it, especially for standalone, if you're encoding your FLV yourself, is to use the Adobe Media Encoder. Okay, some of the encoding properties you have to keep in mind, and this, goes back to some of the video encoding options that we talked about, a few weeks ago. Frame size: the larger frame you have, the more screen real estate's required. Higher resolution you're going to need, better quality of detail, larger file size. Smaller frame means less screen real estate, lower resolution, less detail, smaller file size, less bandwidth. Now, with frame size, you can make Flash, you can encode Flash files to make them go from a smaller size to full screen. But it just depends on the initial frame size that you start out with your video as to what the final output is going to be. You also have frame rate. That's the number of frames per second. And if you remember typical frame rates, NTSC widescreen 29.97 or 30 frames per second. PAL widescreen is 25 frames per second. Typically for computer or internet, anywhere from 8 to 30 frames per second is good. 12 to 15 is okay. I would say anything below 15. If you have a lot of motion in the video, a lot of action, then you never want to go below 15. If it's just a talking head or just still slides like you see in this video here, the lower the frame rate's fine. But although a general rule of thumb, I never go below 15 frames per second. I've just found below that just doesn't work very well. The higher the frame rate, of course, the larger the file. So if you're looking to reduce the file size, of course, reduce the frame rate or the frame size. Cropping and trimming. Basically, you can alter the dimensions of the video clip. Cropping will eliminate areas of the video, and trimming edits the beginning and end point. So trimming is the length of the video. Cropping is cropping out some of the images in the screen. Your source video quality. This, we talked a little bit about this before. You want to reduce the amount of pixel change frame over frame. Too much motion. If you have too much motion in your video, it requires more keyframes, more bandwidth, more money. You want to use the less movement, static backgrounds. You want to reduce camera effects, post-production effects like dissolves and fades, video effects. You want to stabilize your camera. Use a tripod. Handheld is really shaky and makes it difficult to encode. Good lighting, high quality tape film, and most people are going directly to digital now instead of taping or filming, so that's even better. You want to use a professional camera, and you don't want to use pre-compression. So if you're using a handheld camera or a consumer camera, most likely it's coming pre-compressed. So you want the least amount of compression as possible for your source video before you start encoding it, especially for Flash. As far as balancing bandwidth and quality, that's one of the primary goals of becoming a proficient in streaming media. As bandwidth decreases, you want to reduce the keyframe rate. You have a more blurry image. As motion increases, you want to make sure that you increase the frame rate and increase the keyframe rate, and the data rate if possible. Surprisingly, a lot of people are still using dial-up. And most of the times, Flash video for dial-up, even though it's sort of was designed for that, really doesn't work too well. So you want to be careful about some of those things. Cue points and alpha channels. Cue points are embedded and encoded in the video FLV file when you encode it. This is stored as metadata within the FLV movie, which we talked a lot about metadata over the past few weeks, so you should know what that is. And it's used to trigger an action within a Flash movie. So something like an ad or a pause or fast forward or rewind points. Alpha channel allows multiple videos to play back simultaneously on the same screen. This is known as blue or green screening. If you're familiar with video production, you should know about that. Okay. Exporting. There's two main ways to export. One is to create your FLV manually, meaning you encode it yourself, you embed it on your page, and you put that page up on the web so someone can play back those files. The other option is using a hosting service and then having them encode it for you, and put that and take their embed code, have them host the video for you, take their embed code for the Flash video, post it on your page. Both are equally valid methods. We're going to talk about some of the comparing and contrasting of each one. So basically it's you yourself doing it or using a third party. And the most famous of these is YouTube. Okay. Sometimes you may want to use more than one. Sometimes you want to do both, the manual FLV creation and use YouTube, and maybe use another third party option. It just depends on what kind of needs you have for streaming video. Both these options for manual FLV creation and YouTube specifically use Flash video. Again, it's a preferred format. You don't need an external application beyond the Adobe Flash Player, which we already established is the most common player. No streaming server needed, minimal compatibility, and videos can be converted from many other different formats. Some commonalities, again, between both of these methods. The Flash video format, clips can be embedded, both of these clips can be embedded into websites, and you don't need external players like we talked about. So let's talk about the pros and cons of using YouTube. Let's say you have a video and it's your audio post-production piece or sound design piece that you want to put online, that you want to put on your portfolio. So one example would be uploading this video to YouTube. Some of the pros and cons. The pros: you don't need any advanced software beyond just having the video. So you may have exported the QuickTime directly out of your DAW, like Pro Tools. So all you need is that. It is the most popular video portal on the web. It's compatible with various devices beyond computers, so it plays back on iPhones, smartphones, things like that. It's searchable on both YouTube and Google, and that's because Google, of course, owns YouTube. They bought it a few years ago. Here's some of the problems. Clips must be limited to under 10 minutes and 100 megabytes. So that's pretty limiting. Although if you buy extended versions of YouTube, if you pay for the service, then those limits, those restrictions are less prominent. Other options, the other big problem is what other videos show up next to yours. You have no control over when the YouTube video shows up on a page, what other videos are going to be there. Maybe things you don't want to be associated with as a professional. So you have to really be careful about using YouTube. As far as the format itself, it uses the MPEG-4 codec for Flash video. The smallest smallest frame size, is 320 by 240 for the resolution. Uses MP3 audio and can go up to 30 frames per second. And the method to upload your file to YouTube is go to youtube.com. You have to create an account. If you have a Google account, you can use that. You'd click upload, fill out all the information to help your video show up in your searches. Then you'll be able to upload your video through the website. And again, you want to check their compatibility and their preferred practices of what type of video file you want to upload. The reason why so many YouTube videos look bad is because of the fact that most people don't pay attention and have really bad quality videos that they try to upload that they take from phones or really low quality webcams and things like that. So you want to make sure you follow their protocols and their recommendations for the best quality video. Upload your video. After the upload is complete, you have another opportunity to enter some more metadata, and within a little while, the clip should be available. And you can take the embed code directly from the site, put it onto your HTML page, and your video will show up on the page. Some other problems with this, of course, ads. It's going to have the YouTube logo on it, so there's definitely some cons to using this. YouTube also doesn't like copyrighted content, so let's say you did a movie trailer or something like that, you did the sound for audio post-production, you may have problems with YouTube yanking it because of those reasons as well. Even though it's perfectly legal for educational use, YouTube doesn't like it. So in that case, you may want to go with manual FLV clip creation. Some cons: it does require more software and skills to produce, and you need those HTML and Dreamweaver skills to get the video on the web. So you just can't shoot the video or create the video and upload it. You do have to go through this, and we'll go through this in the lab. It does give you more creative freedom as far as the size, layout, and other options. Uh, it allows you to integrate seamlessly into your site without links and ads to other hosts. There's no limits on the size of your video. It just depends on the amount of bandwidth and size you have on your web server. It does require your own hosting and bandwidth, however, and it's not quite as searchable as other venues, although Google will still find it. It won't, unless you have your metadata really correct, it's going to be hard to index it in a video search. It will find the page with the video embedded on it. So depending on your Adobe Media Encoder video editing product conversion, which is probably the Adobe Media Encoder, you import your file in, and it's very simple. You just export your video as a Flash FLV or F4.F4V clip. Save that clip to your website folder. Open up your site in Dreamweaver, and you can insert many media types, and you just want to embed Flash video, and it just takes you through it step by step. And when you upload your site for your changes, you make sure you upload the FLV file as well with it, so it'll stream and play back. So manual FLV is actually not too difficult, and it's actually probably more well known and more wanted, especially for students. But for of course, you can have other things like so in summary, I'm sorry, I got mixed up with the slides here, but in summary, Flash Video is again one of the preferred sources to stream your not only your videos but your audio portfolio in. Again, gives you high quality video with low bandwidth. If you have good video sources, that's going to give you a better result. You have batch conversion, cue points, trimming, and Flash components are very easy to use. But if you do want to use third party, there's many other third party hosts. And this is a link to a Wikipedia article that gives you a comparison of video services online. And there's literally hundreds. There's one called Vimeo, which I highly recommend as well. If you're going to use that, I highly recommend it as a nice alternative to YouTube, although you can't doubt YouTube's personality. But there's many more: Blip TV, Dailymotion, Atom.com, iFilm, iMeme, Yahoo Video. So what you want to do is take a look at that, take a look at those, see which option works for you. Manual FLV creation is always going to be the best bet, but you do want to think about these other services and maybe including them on your portfolio website. Okay, as always, if you guys have any questions, make sure to email me at sbose@aii.edu or talk to me in class. See you later.